What's going on, you guys? So I'm just going to wait a little bit for people to pop in. Just grab a sip of my Saturday coffee. And we'll go from there. Move this closer. Okay, cool. All right. Welcome, you guys. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Imigadu? I'm sorry if I probably totally messed that up. I'm not the best at pronouncing names. Randy, obviously I know how to pronounce your name. Your name is easy, but some people's names are tough for me. All right, guys. So I saw some people jumped in. Larry, a few other people jumped in. Good to see you guys. I guess I'll slowly start going into this topic. I'm going to try to cover it extensively and provide you guys with sensible information that actually works in the real world. And I'm going to try to simplify it into its absolute basics, okay? And the stuff I'm going to be talking about here 100% works with real people that have real tough jobs, or some of them have like not so tough jobs of varying ages, whatever. I mean, I post testimonials constantly in this group, okay? Almost every other day I post, like, in my opinion, like a fairly impressive to really impressive transformation just following these basic principles. And you really just need to master this stuff and you will be a success. Joel, good to see you. You just need to master this stuff and you will be success. You'll be a success. And you see it works with people that are in their 60s, people that are in their 50s, 40s, 30s, whatever. Okay, just the information works if you just master the basics. And I'll be going over those here today just to make sure you're clear on what you need to actually focus on to see meaningful change and not keep wasting your time in the gym following like super ridiculous stuff that's oftentimes very complicated unnecessarily. Okay, so you guys obviously see my transformation over the years as well. So 20 years already, and I've been able to stay very fit, have great blood work, great looking skin. It wasn't the case actually naturally. I used to have very bad cystic acne and stuff of that sort, but now I have like very, very clear skin just following basic health principles, and also like a very fit looking body for those that are interested more into the aesthetic side, just following these basic principles. And I kind of got away with, following a lot of the health gurus online, because oftentimes the truth of the matter is they overcomplicate information just to stand out, to have something new to bring to the table so they get more likes and clicks, and more importantly, unnecessarily to try to confuse the listener into believing that whatever they're doing is unique and you got to buy their program to get that. But it's just basic health principles, and we're going to be covering them here in the context of a very important and common question I get is, should I focus on losing weight, gaining weight? Most of the time, people come into transformations or programs with various health issues, and we obviously focus on that from an aesthetics perspective. They're like, well, I want to lose body fat and gain muscle at the same time. Usually I hear those two mentioned together. They're like, I just need to gain a bit of muscle and lose a bit of fat, which makes sense because most people are in that kind of skinny fat category, meaning they have overall very little muscle altogether, but actually like a decent amount of body fat or a decent amount of unwanted body fat for their particular frame. And Chris, good to see you. Robbie, good to see you as well. Joel, thanks for jumping in. And before I continue, just as an important note, whenever you're taking advice online from anyone, even if they're extremely credible, remember, in order to give sensible advice, you really have to have that particular person in front of you and know their particular situation and their particular goals to give them an answer that actually will work for them and not be taken out of context, okay? So keep that in mind. Obviously, I'm just going to be going off fairly broad generalities here that typically work. But once again, in order to have meaningful results, you need to be on a specific, well-structured plan, ideally, unless you're going to train yourself to do it, ideally with a person that has a lot of clinical experience themselves as well, and a proven track record of making it happen, not only with themselves, but also with a variety of challenging clients of different ages and different occupations and different educational backgrounds and ethnicities, etc., etc. That's the true test of skill. It has to go far above just making yourself fit or healthy, for example, which is a plus. But on the other hand, what works for you doesn't necessarily work for someone else. And one thing I would be wary of is if a person is just very popular online and all they have is just pictures of themselves and their own success, but supposedly their program works so well, but they don't have a mountain of transformations to show that their program actually works, which is a huge red flag if you see that, okay? So make sure whenever you're taking advice from people, they have like a track record of that advice actually helping a wide range of people with a similar situation to yours, for example. So gaining weight, losing weight. I mean, ideally, everyone wants to gain muscle and lose body fat at the same time, okay? And that could happen under very rare situations. So the only times I've noticed personally with 15 years of being with clinical experience at this point of that happening is if you run into a few situations. So one, you get kind of like a fairly overweight person that hasn't trained at all pretty much their whole entire life, or the only kind of real training they had is like high school PE, which really isn't that much and isn't that focused on weightlifting. So typically when you get them on a fat loss program and you also have them on a well-structured periodized program that allows for appropriate biological adaptation and thus progressive overload, you will notice as they actually decrease body fat, they could gain a significant amount of muscle if a lot of lifestyle variables are in place as well. So if they're overweight and brand new to weightlifting, they have the chance of developing what's referred to as those newbie gains. And those can usually be optimized within the first year or two of really good training, where you can make actual significant large amounts of muscle gain. But then usually after that, after that newbie gain period is over, which is around like the 2 to 3 year mark, it typically tapers off and you just gain like a few pounds of muscle at best year after year going forward. But it's not going to be like you're gaining 20 pounds of muscle every year for like 10 years straight. And all of a sudden you're like 300 pounds total, 200 pounds of that is just brand new muscle. That just doesn't happen. Another situation of where people can actually gain muscle while they're losing body fat is if you have like a trained person that had a lot of muscle before but has been injured and, for example, hasn't really been training outside of maybe PT for like the last like year, 2 years, 3 years, and they lost a decent amount of muscle that they already had. And they also possibly gained body fat because of inactivity. Maybe they got depressed because of that injury. That happens oftentimes. And then that population could actually see a significant muscle gain while losing body fat as well. Okay? And then the third one is obviously like if a person is just doing a lot of anabolics. So if they're just very overweight or even moderate body fat and they're losing weight but doing a lot of anabolics and on a good program and doing a lot of proper lifestyle things which you've covered a million times over on many other lives, then they could also gain a decent amount of muscle while losing body fat. And what I mean by decent, I mean a significant amount, not like, oh, I lost 4 pounds of body fat and gained like a half a pound or 1 pound of muscle within a 3 year or 3 month period or 2 month period, which is great results. That is actually like amazing. Those are amazing numbers in my opinion, but it's not like the person is gaining like in 1 month 10 pounds of fat while losing is gaining 10 pounds of muscle while losing 10 pounds of fat. That just doesn't happen at all, okay? So let me look at my notes here just to make sure I got it. So that's really the only situation, those are really the only unique situations where you would find that a person can be in a slight caloric deficit, which is inevitably required to lose weight. No matter what diet you decide to be on, even if you're eating healthy, you still have to just have that slight caloric deficit to be able to incentivize your body to start picking away at its fat stores as a source of energy. But outside of that, I mean, those are the unique circumstances of where you can gain a significant amount of muscle while losing a significant amount or a respectable amount of body fat, okay? But most people aren't obviously going to be in that situation. And the situations I'm referring to again is no weightlifting experience at all, like very obese. So like, for example, your body fat's like well over 25 or 30% for a male, which is pretty high. Or you're dealing with a former like very muscular person, but they just happen to be injured. That's another situation as well. Or some type of, and the anabolics part, or some type of combination of all of those variables. So there's some gray areas. But most people, what I find, need to either focus on muscle gain while roughly maintaining a respectable body fat percentage, or they need to focus solely on fat loss with a slight hint of muscle gain possibly, but most likely just trying their best to maintain their current level of musculature while looking to lose body fat. So it's under very rare circumstances that you can gain a lot of muscle and lose a lot of body fat successfully, okay? And I know I hear a lot of people, especially when I was doing in-person coaching, which really kind of ticked me off, because a lot of in-person coaches take advantage of their clients. They're not seeing results. And I see, like, for example, a very overweight person stepping on the scale and saying they're not losing weight on the scale. The number isn't going down because they're gaining muscle, but then you look at their training sessions and, for example, they're really just not doing anything. Remember, to incentivize muscle growth, you really have to train very, very hard and be on actually like on a good, periodized, well thought out program that once again allows for enough rest to have enough biological adaptation, but then also appropriate rep and set distributions to allow enough progressive overload, because inevitably that's what's going to be required to have a good looking physique and not waste your time in the gym just going in there and winging it and doing random stuff. Or like a lot of people, for example, even hire in-person coaches, and it's just really like a rent-a-friend. They're not even coaches. You're literally just paying them just to be your friend. And indications of that is huge red flags that you have a rent-a-friend and not like a coach is, first and foremost, upon first meeting you, their Q&A, their assessment with you is like some quick 5 to 10 minute, like, what are you trying to do? Blah, 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 some bullshit. Let's sign a waiver and then let's start training. That's an indication you don't have a trainer. You don't have an in-person trainer. You're literally paying $75 to $150 or more dollars an hour just for this person to pretend to be your friend. And that's just the reality of it. Another indication is you show up to these training sessions and the trainer doesn't have anything planned. They ask you like, oh, what are we training today? What are we doing today? What did we do yesterday? They're asking you like what you want to do and how you want to train, et cetera, et cetera. That's not how it works, okay? A really good trainer provides at least like a 2, 3, 4 hour assessment before the coaching even begins, just to thoroughly know your background, what you're trying to accomplish, do a good mechanical assessment with you, do a good lifestyle assessment with you, take your weight, take your body fat percentage, possibly your pictures if aesthetics are your goals, for example, et cetera, a myriad of other things. But what I'm saying, there needs to be a comprehensive assessment before the coaching even begins, and this is pivotal. If this isn't provided at your doctor's office or with your personal trainer or your PT or whoever you're hiring and spending your hard-earned money on, instantly like run away. Do not continue with this person, okay? They're either like just don't care about you or they're just incompetent, either of which doesn't help you in the particular situation, okay? So another situation is like they don't have any programming. You show up and once again they ask you like, what do we need to train? And they're just talking to you in between sessions. I mean, your intensity is very low. It's definitely way below like the 70% threshold. You're winging it. You're just chatting a lot. They're oftentimes asking for help with their personal issues for you, although you hired them to help you, etc. They're on their phone. That's very common with in-person coaching. They're very busy either just texting their friend, being on a dating app, or trying to promote themselves on Instagram or something of that sort, instead of coaching you and being engaged and very caring about you and your progress and being there present in the moment for you. So I've seen all this stuff with in-person coaching, and just remember, you don't need any certifications to be a trainer. So be careful if you hire someone, even if they have like a huge following online, that literally means almost nothing, okay? You don't need any credentials. All you need to do is just get a fitness insurance program, which is like $300 a year, and get a CPR certification, which can be done in like a few hours. And that's it. You're a certified trainer. That's literally it. You don't believe me? Go ahead and check online right after this call. And that's literally it. So the best bet you have is to see the person's work. You know, are they producing a myriad of successful clients that mimic kind of what you're trying to achieve? And are they also doing it themselves? That's another plus. And if they have like more advanced credentials, that could be a plus or a minus, okay? Because I've met many PhD goofballs, many great ones, don't get me wrong, but a lot of them are, quite a few of them, not a lot of them, but quite a few of them are just like borderline retarded. And they've been in the classroom and academics all their life, and they really have no clinical experience that's really applicable in the real world. And if they tried even a small portion of what they're trying to teach people, they'll see it's like bogus, and it doesn't work. Now, there are many great PhDs, many great MDs out there as well, many great researchers, all that. But, you know, degrees only go so far. It's usually a combination and a cocktail of variables that really indicate whether that person is very good at what they do. Okay? So all these things are important. And so back to our topic, I kind of went on a little bit of a tangent there, just because it was important and because I see a lot of people getting deceived. If you are, you know, overweight and you're stepping on the scale week after week, most likely, if you're not seeing the scale go down, 99% chances, just because you're still staying fat, you're not losing any fat, and you're definitely not gaining any muscle, especially if you have the type of coaching I just described, which is pretty much like 98% of in-person coaches. It's one of the incentives of why I got out of the in-person coaching, just because I didn't want to be around that, because I just felt bad for the clients at the end of the day because they didn't know any better. And it was just really hard to see that week after week, et cetera, because the people deserve better, and they are genuinely looking for help, but they're definitely not going to get it from the bulk majority of in-person trainers. It's just how it is. Okay. So what I would recommend, and what I've seen work well for my practice, is focus on one thing or another. So how to determine that? I don't know. You have to determine that for yourself. Every person is different. And you have to determine whether you want to focus on fat loss initially or muscle gain initially. And that's up to you to decide. Some ways to do it, you could be very objective about it. So you can get like a caliper, or you can be like very objective about it and get like a DEXA scan, for example, and see where your body fat is currently. So most American males are just very overweight. They're 25+%. So if you have like a pouch on your lower stomach, you have lower chest fat, love handles, that's an indication that your body fat's already pretty high, probably hovering around 20%. And you have to remember, 20% is, depending on age group, of course, 20% is overweight, 25% is obese, and 30% and over is just basically morbidly obese, okay? So most males are probably around 25, somewhere between 25 and 30%. If you're looking at my frame here, you can see by my frame, I'm about like 12% body fat. So just to give you like a reference point, and I know I post a lot of my journey with my fitness thing, so you can see I'm just very lean altogether, and that's 12%. And that's how lean 12% looks. So most males are, it's very rare. I'm not saying I'm lean or anything magnificent, but whenever I go outside, and today's the weekend, I'm actually going to go out a little bit right after this, it's extremely rare to even find someone as lean as I am, which is not even that lean, okay? Which says a lot about the state of American health currently, and a lot about how much we've lowered our standards as well. And it's sad to see, because you can, it's such a magnificent thing to experience like great health and a good looking physique. I'm not saying it's like everything in the world, but it's like huge upgrade. You know, imagine having a great digestive system, a strong sex drive, great and youthful looking skin, you know, like a muscular physique. You don't have to be over the top, like all Arnold out, for example, but even like lean and tone is already great for most people. Instead of walking around with these huge saggy boobs and huge gut, I mean, I can tell you nobody wants that at the end of the day, because you will find no child that tells you they dream of growing up and looking overweight, you know? So you can tell it's like it's a byproduct and symptom of just heading down the wrong path in life, which manifests itself in that kind of appearance because of the maladaptive behavior that inevitably has to form to deal with a disconnect in core values. Long conversation here, but I'm trying to summarize just so we can stay on topic here, okay? So most people definitely need to, I would say, lose weight, in my opinion, and focus on that initially. So let's say you got a DEXA scan done and you came in at 20% body fat, which is overweight already. And so if you have like lower chest fat, if you have like a pouch on your belly, you're most likely around 20%, probably slightly over that. So in that case, I would say like, okay, well, you're 20%. The first focus with the client would be to get them down to like 12% or 10% possibly. I think 12% is great and easy to maintain. 10% is also a very crisp, lean look on the physique. I don't find it necessary for people to be much lower than that for the average, you know, general population and what they're looking for. But if it interests the person and they want to look extra sharp, then maybe 8% would be like a good number for the person to aim for as well. But it's up to them. That's why it's so tough for me to give you guys advice on these lives, because I don't know who's in front of me and I don't know the advice to give them. So that's just a general observation I've noticed through, once again, doing this for about 15 years. But take note, I'm 37 and I've actually been living this kind of health conscious lifestyle since day one, having been raised by my grandmother on an off-grid farm in Ukraine, for example. So really, I've been doing it for like 37 years. And if you look at my progression, it's been a very consistent 37 years, so almost a 40-year career at that point, okay? So the principles I'm talking about here definitely work. I've been able to replicate them with a myriad of clients. Some of them are on this call even right now. I'm not going to name them because sometimes they don't want to be named, but some of them are on this call right now. Some of them are 65, 60, 55, white, black, Indian, Asian, this education level, that education level, whatever, it still works. And results speak for themselves. I wouldn't be posting testimonials that often in this group, which isn't even that massive of a group, if the principles I'm talking about here didn't work. So just please, guys, listen to common sense and return back to the common sense of health advice. Stop overcomplicating things. It's not as complicated as you think. And to give you an idea, my grandmother that raised me on that off-grid farm lived on that farm her whole entire life, okay? I know I say this many times, but it's important to really kind of grain it into people's heads that she only went to the hospital one time to give birth to my mom, and that's it. And she lived to 87 in full health and very functional until probably like the last few months of her life, which inevitably is going to happen to all of us, you know, no matter how well you take care of yourself. Your health becomes a priority eventually, no matter what. If you want to, if you don't want to, it will become your priority at one point in your life or at multiple points in your life. I 100% guarantee you it will. And once you lose it, or once you even get a hint of losing it, you will see how great you have it and how amazing good health and a good appearance for those that care is, and what a huge life upgrade that is, and how much we take that for granted. And unfortunately, because of the propaganda of the country, we as citizens are programmed to believe that what's not important is important, and that what is important, which is your mental and physical health, is not important. And I know a lot of people say like, oh, I know it's important. I know. Saying is one thing, doing is a completely another thing, okay? A lot of people say it is the most important. They totally agree with me. I really never had anyone disagree with me on that. But then when you look at their actions and behaviors in life, it's not anywhere close to number one. It's like number 50 or invisible, basically, okay? They say it's important, but they're working crazy hours. They say it's important, but they're buying the cheapest food to save like a few pennies so they can spend it on going out and drinking alcohol on the weekend, or having that, whatever, stupid car to impress people that don't even give a fuck about you anyways, and not going to remember you the second you leave the company or do whatever because they're busy living their own zombie lives, etc. You say it's important, but then you don't hire a coach to help you optimize your health. You say it's like, oh, it's too expensive for coaching, but then you spend like 10 times the amount of money on just travel and bullshit stuff. Like the average American spends 8 to 16,000 a year on non-essential expenses like alcohol and Netflix, subscription services, the new iPhone. It's like, how stupid is that? It's like, yeah, I have $1,200, $1,500 for a new iPhone, but I definitely don't have that money for coaching, which could be a huge life upgrade. It's like when you're thinking this way, you have to question it. You have to question the pathology of that mindset. What do you think is going to be better for you? Like a good looking physique and great health and great blood work, and you feel great with great erections, good digestive system, great hormonal panel, for example, or looking like shit, feeling like shit, having bad skin, constantly being tired, but hey, I have my new iPhone. This is definitely going to let me fit in. When you're kind of running around with that type of mindset, there is a reason of why you're miserable and why you're full of obesity and disease. And it all starts with the belief system, which is the most harmful virus of all. A poor belief system has killed more people worldwide than literally anything else on the planet by like a long shot, okay? And a belief system, the poor belief system is just as dangerous as a very dangerous virus, like even COVID, for example, okay? Because it spreads from person to person. It spreads from parents to their children. And then from those children eventually, unfortunately, probably have kids as well. And then they spread that pathological belief system to their kids. And the cycle repeats, and even their pets, unfortunately adapt portions of this belief system, because you notice like very overweight and sick people have very overweight and sick pets as well. Okay, where's the genetics there? No, it's not genetics. Genetics loads the gun, but remember, your choices push the trigger, okay? So 99% of the time, whatever is going on with you, 99.9% of the time, whatever is going on with you is your fault. It's your fault, and you're doing it to yourself, which is okay too, because like I always say, if you're doing it to yourself, you can stop doing it to yourself anytime you want, like right now. Stop being this like 40-plus-year-old shoulda, woulda, coulda bullshitter. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it the next day. I'm going to do it when Jupiter aligns with all its moons and the other 10 planets align and the universe collapses in and of itself. Then I'm going to take action. Remember, all these guys, they're talking because they use excuses as a form of escape. An excuse, like Robert Kiyosaki would say, I got this from him, it's a way of people to shut their mind down and avoid responsibility, because oftentimes, let's just pretend you don't have excuses. And if you don't have excuses, what's your only other option? You got to take action, which is very stressful for some people. And to avoid this stress of actually coming up with a solution and coming up with a resolution to that problem, and thus like upgrading the quality of your life and your character too after you've surpassed and conquered that challenge, I'm just going to use an excuse. I don't have time. I don't have money. It's because of ABC, this, and that. I mean, it's endless. The bullshit is endless, okay? And because an excuse shuts down your mind. It immediately shuts down your mind. Like when you want something and you can't afford it, you go like, I can't afford it. That's it. You've shut down your mind and all possible solutions for that problem. Instead, ask like, what could I do to afford it? I can't afford coaching. I have this health problem. I have this huge gut and this huge gyno that's destroying my self-esteem, but I can't afford coaching. Okay, stop using that as an excuse. Stop using that as a form of escape, okay? Or that excuse as a form of escape. Go like, okay, so the average American, here's what I would do if I ran into that thought. I'm like, well, the average American spends $8,000 to $16,000 a year on non-essential expenses, not even counting medical expenses, okay, which could be exponentially higher and bring that bill up way more. So, okay, it's the weekend. What's a good solution? I'm going to sit down and I'm going to look over all my expenses in detail and be honest. And I will most likely see that I'm spending a lot of money on bullshit that's not contributing to quality in my life in any way, shape, or form. So what can I eliminate? Okay. Like I guarantee you, if you just eliminate eating out, the average person, at least that I coach, typically spends about $150 to $200 a week on eating out. So that's about, let's say, 800 a month, okay? And then times 10, 8,000, 60, so $9,900 a year on just eating out, just the very behavior that is leading to a lot of their health issues. Digestive issues are common because of the industrial seed oils and all of the sauces and everything, the preservatives used on that. And remember, like I always say, like people are like, oh, I don't have your dedication and discipline, Eugene. Listen, it's very simple. It takes a lot of freaking time, money, and energy to make yourself overweight. It's extremely hard and takes a lot of effort on your part. Think about it. You have to force yourself to go out and eat that shitty food. You have to drive over there, park in the parking lot, get into the place, eat that shitty food, get your ass back into the car, pay money for that, a lot of money, way higher than what that equivalent amount of food would cost at home for yourself. Get back in the car, go drive home. Do that 2 to 3 times a day for multiple years. Get up every single morning, look at yourself in the mirror, not be happy with what you see, but continue to motivate yourself to do that exact behavior that's leading to those exact problems. Now that takes heart. That takes heart, that takes a lot of money, and that takes a lot of time. And I'm not even counting the medical expenses related to that type of belief system and behavioral patterns, okay, which could range from copay deductible could be anywhere from $35,000 to like $7,000 a year. So if you count that $8,000 to $16,000 of non-essential expenses plus that deductible, you're looking at freaking $15,000 to $22,000 a year on really making yourself that sick and that overweight and that unattractive, et cetera, et cetera. It's very expensive, okay? And that's only the direct cost. That's just what's easy to measure. But there's an indirect cost, which is exponentially greater. It's going to have a negative impact on your relationships. The dating life will be 100% harder, I guarantee it. In fact, I think the last time I checked, the second leading cause of divorce was just loss of attraction, physical attraction to their partner. Okay, so how much does a divorce cost? Even if it doesn't cost you anyway, how much does it cost you in terms of emotions? It's extremely costly, okay? So if you calculate the indirect cost and the direct cost of being overweight, making yourself that unattractive, and then coming to the conclusion that you're doing it to yourself and having to put so much effort and money into doing that, it's so much more costly than just being fit, healthy, happy, etc., etc. Do it. It's the weekend. Just run the numbers yourself. And you'll have to be delusional to not believe me, okay? Because it's just so obvious which direction you should be taking. So back to my point, if once again, I would recommend that you focus on either fat loss or muscle gain first. We concluded that most people do need to focus on fat loss primarily. So I would recommend whatever body fat percentage you're at, you can go get a DEXA scan to get down to like 10 or 12%-ish around there. And in the meantime, if you are on a good weightlifting, good periodized program, and also attending to a lot of lifestyle variables like proper sleep and good central nervous system management, you could put on like a few pounds of muscle during that time frame as well. So let's say you need to lose 20 pounds, let's say that would take you 4 to 5 months. You could put on, I've seen a lot of my clients that have done the DEXA scan before and after put on like 3, 4, 5 pounds of muscle during that time frame while losing 20 pounds of body fat, which is a dramatically visual, like a huge visual difference in a person's physique. And I guarantee you blood work will look magnificent as well. And also you'll just feel way better because you'll look way better. And the better, it's not everything, but when you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, it just makes everything in life a lot easier, even if the life circumstance itself doesn't even change. So something to consider there, okay? A lot to go in there, but I'm just covering it there. So once again, most men need to focus on, if you don't want to get a DEXA scan, that's totally fine. Just look at yourself in the mirror and just ask yourself, am I like fatter than I would like to be? If the answer is yes, then your goal should be once again to focus on fat loss primarily. Get to the leanness, the type of look you want, and then start phase two. So personally, I would recommend then a person, which I do with a lot of my clients, is phase them into maintaining a body fat percentage of like 10 to 15%, somewhere around there. Definitely never going above 15%. And focus on gaining muscle at a rate of, or gaining weight rather, at a rate of about 2 pounds per month. Will all of it be muscle? Probably not, but a bulk majority of it, especially if you're on a good program, will be muscle. Like probably 75, 85% of that will be muscle. And then the difference will be a combination of excess water and body fat as well. Inevitably, for most people, you will put on a little teeny bit of body fat as you put on a decent amount of muscle in the process of gaining weight, okay? And the most important thing too is to avoid cyclical patterns of gaining and cutting too often. This is where a huge mistake a lot of people make, because oftentimes they just overdo it. So for example, let's say they successfully cut, they get down to their ideal leanness, and then they overdo the bulk. So they gain too much weight too fast and they get too fat. And at that point, they're like, well, now I'm too fat, I got to cut again. But remember, every time you cut, especially if you're not on the right program, if your sleep is shitty, if you don't have the ideal genetics, if your stress environment is high at work, you do have a significant risk of losing a decent amount of muscle every time you cut, especially with the way most people cut. They for sure lose a decent amount of muscle. And then whatever muscle you put on, let's say during that 1 year, you put on, let's say 5 pounds of muscle, but then you gain 20 pounds of body fat. Now you got to lose that 20 pounds of body fat. You probably lose that 5 pounds of muscle as well, because it indicates to me if a person overdoes it in one direction, they're most likely overdoing it also in a different direction, because I don't see anyone that successfully cuts and maintains muscle mass or even gains a little bit of muscle mass, once again, doing a lean bulk incorrectly as well. So what I found with a lot of my clients, and once again, many testimonials to prove this. I post them right here in this group, even interviews with a lot of the clients. You can see some of them are in their mid 60s, 60s, 55, okay? And they're able to gain muscle consistently, all right? Just by doing this 2 pound a month rule. And you can still see they look very lean as they're doing it, okay? Which indicates that they're doing it the right way. You're just not overdoing the bulk and getting too heavy and putting too much fat on at the same time. There's a little bit of leeway because what's fat for one person might not be fat for another. I would just say as a general rule, I found it a great thing to not go above 15% body fat with most males. Okay, so use that as like basically a ceiling cutoff, and stay anywhere between like 12 to 15% during a bulking phase. So one thing you could do is, once again, you could use the mirror. It's a good reference point, but you could also buy very cheap calipers and just take your body fat with a 3-point test on like the chest, abs, and thighs, for example, just once a week, or you could even do it daily if you like to, or you can have one of those electric scales that automatically uploads it to your phone. It doesn't even matter if it's not like the most accurate, just as long as you're taking it on that same exact device all the time, it'll give you a consistent reading. And obviously if you see it going up too fast in terms of your body fat, it's not a good sign, you know? So you can use that as a general reference point and stuff of that sort to go off there. So also remember that, let me read my notes here in order to do that. Yeah, and remember also on a lean bulk, like you need to be basically on a very well thought out periodized program, end of story, that allows for appropriate biological adaptation, which means it gives you enough rest for the tissue to be able to adapt, and allows for appropriate progressive overload. At the end of the day, you're not going to be having like a huge chest by just pumping out 20-pound dumbbells all your life. Okay, you're going to have to really load it up and add quite a bit of weight over time, and allow that tissue to have enough biological adaptation to really grow out that chest and make it huge, or your biceps or your back or your legs, whatever you're trying to do, or your glutes, for example. Stuff of that sort. Let me read some of these comments, Bob. Love the shady food comment. Too funny and so true. It takes time, money, and to buy shade. It does, Bob. And it's so sad for me to see a lot of these people, because it's these same exact people that spend $8,000 to $16,000 a year on non-essential expenses, which lead to their obesity, misery, and disease oftentimes, that will turn around and tell you right to your face that they don't have $4,000 to $5,000 a year for organic food. They're like, oh, organic food is too expensive. Okay, 4 to 5,000. Let me run the math here. 4 to 5,000 a year for organic food is too expensive, but $8,000 to $16,000 a year to live like a dumbass is not too expensive. Sometimes people ask for their misery and they get what they ask for, as the saying goes. So, yes, but you're totally right, Bob. And it hurts me so much because they really don't know how much they're lowering the quality of their overall life by participating in that behavior. Because oftentimes, like I always say, pathology has been normalized in today's culture. And if you don't believe me, just go to PubMed.gov and you'll see a lot of metabolic studies show that 9 out of 10 American adults now are metabolically unhealthy. Half of Americans are either type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic, 50 freaking percent, which is super crazy. And 90% of Americans are basically unhealthy, which is super comical, because oftentimes, especially during this COVID thing, which was serious, they're like, oh, look at these people getting sick. Look at these healthy people getting sick. I'm like, what type of healthy people are you freaking talking about? There are like no healthy people left in the United States almost. Okay, it's like basically 1 in 10 American adults are considered metabolically healthy. 1 in freaking 10. How insulting is that? And oftentimes it's like a lot of people are like, well, I am healthy. I eat healthy. And I ask and I get this from people, but I look at their physique and their skin quality, and they have like really bad looking skin. They're much older than they are, and they're very overweight. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean by healthy? What's your definition of healthy? And they would say like something like, oh, I'm not, I'm eating a little less, or I'm doing like some trendy diet like keto or fasting or blah, 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 the cockroach diet, whatever. That already tells me if they're speaking that way, they don't know what the hell they're doing, and they're not eating healthy at all, actually. Because if they were, they wouldn't have such poor quality skin, so much excessive body fat, one issue after another, one health issue after another. It's like they're chasing symptoms all their life. And then the saddest part is they're like, oh, it's my genetics. I'm like, no, dude, it's not your genetics. It's just like your belief system and your behavior sucks that are leading to all these problems. And you're often doing it to yourself. Okay, it's like the saddest thing in the world, because it's so sad, because the denial is so strong that they really believe they're healthy, and it's just not the case. I mean, I could objectively prove that it's literally almost impossible to find a truly mentally and physically healthy individual in the US these days. And like I always say on these lives, because they're usually done on Saturdays, just literally, don't believe me, go out anywhere in the US right now. Many of you are on this live, live in different states. Step outside anywhere, and all you see is obesity, misery, and disease. It's not all I see, that's all you will see too, because that's just what's really out there. It's just fact, okay? The pathology has been totally normalized, and I would highly recommend you guys try not to fit into that culture, because you have to be insane to try to fit into today's culture in regards to how they perceive their mental and physical health. You're asking for a world of pain if you try to do that, which is what a lot of these people are experiencing, okay? And you guys don't see a lot of this, or you might see it now since I'm kind of bringing it into your radar, but even a lot of times it's like, go on LinkedIn, for example, and it's kind of the saddest place on earth, oftentimes, because you see people posting like, oh, my coworker died of a heart attack today. Look how healthy he is. And they show a picture of him, and he's like freaking huge. He's like super overweight. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? They're like, we didn't see it coming. I'm like, how the fuck did you not see it coming? What the hell is freaking going on? Jesus, man. It's like, what are you even thinking? And you see these posts daily, multiple a days, a lot of times. Oh, and some of them are honest. You know, I saw a girl post about her dad, and it was a sad post. They usually post their picture too, unfortunately. And you see that a lot of times they are caring people. You know, they're good people, just with a belief system that is destroying them in a certain aspect of their life. And she's like, "Oh, my dad worked 50, 60-hour weeks his whole career, and he prided himself on that, and he prided himself on getting there first and staying last and doing this project and that project and blah blah blah." And 48 years old, boom, dead of a heart attack. And remember, 33% of Americans die of a heart attack. One out of three one out of three Americans die of a heart attack. How crazy is that? So next time you go to lunch, you two friends, out of you three, one of you will die from a heart attack. And if that doesn't scare you, I don't know what to say. There's not much I could do to help you at that point, I guess, because you're dead set on, living that life of pathology, and good luck with that. Okay, let's see how far that takes you. So Randy mentioned, true, my European vacation was eye-opening. Yeah, and Randy, I don't know. Last time I was in Europe, I was in Germany, and that was 4 years ago. And I don't know if it's changed much since then, but it's definitely not as bad as the US for sure. But pretty much a lot of people there were just very overweight still nonetheless, okay? Very overweight. And I know a lot of people, they're like, well, it's just aesthetic, you know what I mean? Like, who cares? No, man, it's not aesthetic. There's a lot of biological processes, negative ones, that have to happen to accumulate that level of excess body fat. And usually, like, what I find with a lot of people with weight challenges is they do have a lot of like mental and physical pain in their life that leads to like maladaptive behavior that leads to that excess body fat. Actually, the maladaptive behavior that leads to XYZ, which leads to the excess body fat and stuff of that sort. So, you guys, muscle gain. So muscle gain, the biggest mistake people make, like I mentioned, they gain and cut too often because they're too extreme and they're not thinking long term. So when you're thinking long term, you want to be, in terms of muscle gain, you want to be thinking years, not months. You do want to have kind of like quarterly goals, like short weekly goals, monthly goals, quarterly goals, and then annual goals, which all flow into each other. And that's what a really good periodized program should include, which your trainer should be giving you, not doing some sketches like I'm doing with some notes right here on this pad just to keep track of what I'm talking about. Or when you show up, they're like, what do you want to train today? No, that's not training. Instantly question that. Question, why am I not getting a detailed program from you if you run into that kind of coaching? If you go to your medical doctor's office for the first time and they chat with you for 5 minutes, ask, where's my detailed assessment? Why haven't we gone over the behavioral patterns that led to issue A, B, and C, so I can stop doing what is leading to this issue and thus come to a complete resolution and not have to keep coming back for more and more drugs? The list is endless, but I think you know what I'm getting at, okay? Without behavioral change, without belief system change, whatever issue you're having is inevitably going to keep coming back, because what's happening is you're walking with a rock inside of your shoe, and instead of taking that rock out, you take pain medication instead and keep that rock in your shoe. How stupid does that sound? How seriously would you take me as a health provider if you had a rock stuck inside your shoe and I told you, no, man, don't take that rock out? What are you thinking? Keep that rock in, although it's causing you pain, but here, take these very addictive and very harmful to your liver and kidneys and other visceral tissue pain medication, which inevitably you're going to get dependent on. You're going to have to keep upping the dose because you never took that rock out. Okay? How stupid would I sound? And that's exactly how a lot of health professionals are practicing. They're not teaching you how to take the rock out of your shoe. They're telling you, keep that fucking rock in there and take all these drugs, come back and get your back cracked every fucking week so you can pay me and you can get on my BMW fund. And let's not worry about all the spine hygiene and good movement patterns we can teach you and identifying your pain triggers so you can get out of pain, because I need you to keep coming back so I keep making money off of you. Come on, dude. Like, that hurts me to see that kind of treatment, because that's the kind of treatment I got when I injured my back. I had huge cystic acne, as I mentioned to you guys. All my my dermatologist was an MD and PhD. Here, just take these antibiotics, which inevitably messed up the gut lining in my small intestine, which took like 3 years to resolve from there. So I had to hire like another functional medicine registered dietitian to do it naturally there. And it didn't even get rid of my acne. But for some reason, I was like, well, when I travel, all my acne disappears. But when I come back to the US, it comes back. And he was saying all the time, oh, it's your genetics. I'm like, dude, well, how come it's disappearing when I'm freaking traveling, going backpacking here in China for like 2 months with a sweaty backpack on and just walking endlessly, not taking a shower every day, and all of a sudden it disappears. But then when I come back into the US, it comes back. It's like, oh, I don't know, here, just take these antibiotics. I was naive and kind of stupid. And I didn't take them for that long periods of time. I'll never do this again. They didn't clear up my acne. Cleared up like 1 or 2 small pimples, but a lot of the cystic acne was still there. Because once again, walking with the rock inside your shoe, taking painkillers instead of getting rid of the rock and walking pain-free, okay? Symptom management, I found from my observation across the board, especially when symptom management is used for lifestyle disorder type diseases, always hurts the person long-term. Most always. There's a rare case where it does provide them like a bump and hope of prosperity, and then they get into that good coaching program where they teach how to master the 4 doctors that I've mentioned before in other lives. They get into a good coaching program that teaches them about behavioral change, so they kind of stop fucking themselves over and over again throughout their whole entire life. Teach them about real food, real water, etc., how to manage their central nervous system, which a lot of people don't even know how to do either. They think like working like 50, 60-hour weeks behind a computer is normal or something like that. It's not normal. It will lead to a lot of physical and mental issues when you do that, especially when you do that without learning how to balance it out in a comprehensive and balanced way, etc. And all this stuff is important because it's going to inevitably need to be attended to really gain a significant amount of muscle. Because if you don't do all this other stuff and you think just going to the gym and working out and eating a little bit better is going to build a very muscular physique, you'll be surprised that it's not going to. And that's why a lot of people, especially, it could be even quite a bit of people on this call here, struggle to develop a muscular physique because A, it takes years, and B, you have to have like such a solid foundation with your lifestyle to be able to sustain that muscle mass. Because muscle mass, it's really only going to grow when you're in a well-rested, peaceful state, internal peaceful state. That's why it's so important to approach your goals holistically and kind of rewinding it back. Workout programs I would personally avoid, kind of HIIT programs, boot camps, CrossFits, stuff of that sort. They give the illusion of a good workout because they're tough workouts, but tough doesn't mean good. I can have you do an air squat and just sit in an imaginary chair and 1 minute later your quads are freaking on fire. Is that going to build beautiful, huge muscular legs? Fuck no. No, it's not going to do anything to your legs visually, although it is very difficult. And a lot of people get that confused. They're like, well, I'm getting my money's worth because I'm doing these beatdown workouts, although they're already beat down just from life in general, and somehow going and getting beat down more during a workout is somehow helping them. I don't know how, but it's not, trust me. In fact, it's just like if you don't attend to a lot of the holistic stuff I'm going to mention right now, especially that I already mentioned extensively on other lives, you will get injured. You will get injured. There isn't a doubt in my mind. It's just a matter of time. If you're like super stressed out at work, your sleep sucks, your diet sucks, and you're going to CrossFit at night or some like hardcore boot camp or whatever, you will get injured, I promise you. And that injury will be pretty severe if you're including a lot of back squats and a lot of deadlifts, because those are 2 very technical exercises that the bulk majority of people don't even know how to do. And yet they're doing them for like 30, 40 reps in a lot of these classes, followed by like 50 other exercises back to back, etc., stuff of that sort. So back to the point. In order to sustain muscle, you obviously have to be on a really good periodized program that's really well thought out for weeks, months, quarterly goals, annual goals. Think 2 pounds a week, 2 pounds a month. I'm sorry, 2 pounds a month. I found was a good rule for most people. If you're going above that, most likely you're just probably gaining a lot of fat, especially if your lifting age is a little bit up there, like 5 or 6 years of lifting weights consistently. Most likely the difference is fat. But some people look a little bit better when they're a little fatter. I'm kind of like one of those people, for example. I like kind of how my face looks a little bit better when I'm fatter. And then also just the muscle density looks a little bit fuller. I said looks as an emphasis because really it's just the difference is fat, but it kind of helps fill in that shirt, etc., etc. So yeah, Larry mentioned we have the same mantra. I'm 75 years old, lived with this dad for 50 years. I'm looking forward to beginning again now. Okay, sorry, Larry, for some reason cut out halfway. That I am recovering from my auto accident. Yeah, sorry about the auto accident, Larry. Sometimes life happens like that. But hopefully your recovery is going well. Always reach out if you have like any questions at all, okay? Just be patient and you'll be back on your feet in no time for sure. Okay, so inevitably you want to, like I mentioned, be on a good periodized program that allows enough biological adaptation. That's going to vary from person to person depending on their experience level, their goals, and that also allows for progressive overload, which is what good programming should do on a consistent basis. And the problem with those boot camps that I mentioned is there's no assessment at all. There are no detailed programs specifically for the individual, et cetera, et cetera. It's just sign a waiver, get in here, do some jumping jacks and kind of go all crazy and go home about your way. So on top of that program, you want to think holistically. How could I maximize my recovery? Because once again, maximum recovery, maximum stimulation for good workouts need to be followed by maximizing recovery. Because if you don't have good recovery, that muscle isn't going to be stacked on. It's going to be very hard to impossible for you to start gaining muscle, especially if you're like 40, 45 plus. Then you got to be really on point with literally freaking everything. And don't worry, you guys, don't worry about those 40-year-old guys. If you do everything right, your testosterone levels will stay high. I have many friends that are, I guarantee you, 100% natural, not even doing TRT, and they're on like 50s, and they're at like 600 or 700 nanograms per deciliter for their total testosterone, with a good free testosterone and a good ratio of sex hormone binding globulin, total estrogen, estradiol, etc., etc. If you really take care of yourself and you really absolutely genuinely master the basics, you'll be on point. Like I told you my story with my total testosterone, like 900 now at 37 years old. It's fairly rare to find even 20-year-olds at that kind of level, simply because I'm just following a lot of these principles customized for my specific plan. That customization is important because remember, nature is a novelty generator. There are no two of literally anything in the universe. So that's it. You're the only one in the whole freaking universe. And last time I checked, the universe is a pretty big place, okay? And so you need to approach it to your personal needs. Everything needs to be customized to you. That's very important. So thinking like, how could I maximize intensity so I can develop like a really good muscular physique? So first and foremost, what you want to do is you want to kind of look. There's so many variables to cover here. I'm just going to cover a few, but you want to look at like your work first because you're spending a lot of time there. Is your work aligned with your core values, who you are deep down inside, or are you just prostituting yourself for a paycheck and kind of negating your core values and your needs and kind of brushing it off to the side? Oh, it's not important, not that important, although it's irritating me that I'm not getting my way, et cetera, et cetera. Because the more disconnect you have there between your core values and how you have to do your work or kind of navigate through your job, the more stress that will be on the central nervous system and the less recovery you will attain. It's the same thing. You want to look at your relationships too, friends, family, partner. Are we aligned with our core values? Are our core values headed in the same direction? If not, if there's a disconnect, once again, that's going to cause a disharmony, like a negative energy balance. Okay, it's going to suck your energy dry if you're constantly thinking, I don't want to be with this person, I don't want to be talking to this person, etc., etc. That's going to affect your recovery, affect your total energy production, which inevitably will affect the quality of your workouts and the quality of your recovery. How's your sleep? Are you genuinely sleeping between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m.? That's important. Okay. How's the quality of those hours too? That's equally important. Um, how am I managing my central nervous system? You know, under a rare few situations, there are some outliers, and no absolutes, of course. There are people that can do like super crazy hours, 50, 60, 70 hours, especially if their occupation is very closely aligned with their life mission and their core values, and they're like blindly in love with that subject. Then they might be able to. But I still see a lot of people falling apart past a certain threshold. I found with most clients, they do very well with like 35 hours and below. Once you start getting into the 40, 45 hours, 50-hour mark, usually the energy is depleted, then they start negating their well-being, they feel chronically fatigued, they start overcompensating with stimulants oftentimes, such as caffeine, and a myriad of other maladaptive coping mechanisms to be able to deal with that workload on a consistent basis. At the end of the day, most people just don't have the central nervous system to deal with that kind of workload, especially when you take into consideration most people just aren't doing work they actually like. So that kind of combination is a melting pot for a disaster, okay? Like a recipe for disaster. So you got to be honest with yourself and see where you land there, but that's going to have a negative impact on developing a muscular physique, okay, to one degree. Your gut health, how's that going? If you have some gut dysbiosis, your nutrient absorption is obviously going to be hindered to a certain degree depending on how severe that gut dysbiosis is. So even if you're eating a quality food, just those nutrients oftentimes aren't being absorbed, et cetera, et cetera. Also, it's just very energy taxing to have to deal with gut issues all day. It's like you're like, oh, my stomach hurts, all day, or oh, I'm constipated all day, or whatever. I mean, I have acid reflux. I mean, there are a myriad of symptoms you can experience here, and they're all kind of draining on your energy system and leaving you less energy for the workouts, and also just less energy for recovery as well, because your body is constantly taxed and burdened with other tasks. Injury prevention is obviously huge. With the muscle journey, you're thinking years, and obviously you don't want to get injured because that's going to be a huge setback, okay? So if you have like upper cross syndrome, lower cross syndrome, upper cross is like where you're hunched forward with your head protruding forward excessively. That's very common. Lower cross syndrome is kind of like a Donald Duck shape where you have that excessive curvature in the lower back. Flat back, flat neck, sway back, hip hike, shoulder hike, whatever. All these things will eventually lead to some type of injury or nagging joint pains, etc., which once again will drain your energy system. And on top of that, you're only as strong in the gym as your weakest link. So if you have some kind of pathology going on, that's going to weigh down your workouts to a certain degree, depending on that pathology quite a bit. So once again, you're not pushing that 70% plus threshold, which is required to build muscle. You might not be able to get the adequate amount of volume, especially during accumulation phases, for example, stuff of that sort. So all of this needs to be attended to. And that's why it goes back to getting a proper assessment done, okay? Which takes hours. My assessments takes like 3 hours. Sometimes it even takes a little bit longer with certain people, depending on what they're coming in for, because how else are you going to do? How else are you going to know their posture is good? They have any undiagnosed disc bulges or whatever else going on? How are you going to know all of these lifestyle variables to be able to customize their lifestyle program for you without doing an in-depth interview with this person and have procedures and things in place to be able to do that and stuff of that sort? So there's so much more, guys, but all this needs to be done to achieve like a very muscular physique to one degree or another. And a common question is, well, that's a lot. And it's not a lot when you put your mental and physical health first and foremost. And second, that is what needs to be done. And that's why a lot of people, they just don't look that muscular, although they spend a lot of time in the gym, because their programming sucks. They're probably getting some free stuff off YouTube and trying to put it together, probably way out of context. They don't have a well thought out periodized program that's customized for them. They have probably shitty posture, and by loading that posture in the weight room, they're just accelerating that shitty posture instead of doing a reconditioning program to fix all that posture, to fix all that joint pain if they are having joint pain, and then going into more of a performance phase. Their sleep sucks, their work sucks, their relationships are probably not in the right relationship, their diet sucks, they're drinking way too much caffeine, they're probably numbing themselves out with one medical drug or another instead of dealing with the issues. And you can see it's kind of like why you go to the gym, and most people you see there for so long, oftentimes, year after year, look the same all the time, year after year after year. Some of them even look worse, okay? So you need to have all this stuff in place to really see meaningful change that will keep you motivated enough to keep going. Because oftentimes a lot of people lose their motivation because they just don't see any change because they're on the wrong program. Their program sucks. And obviously, then investing a lot of time in a sucky program doesn't make sense, and I don't blame them. So it's good to see all of you guys. Thank you for jumping in. Great chat today. I hope you have a good weekend. I'm going to try to basically just relax at home. I might rewatch Blade Runner. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I'm actually wearing a Blade Runner shirt here. I'm going to rewatch the new Blade Runner, which is like one of my favorite movies. I like the original one, and I like the new one as well quite a bit. The visuals are great. And just kind of cook some food, cook some steaks, eat it, relax, maybe do some coloring book stuff. And I hope you guys are having a good time, okay? And have a good weekend. Take care.